Hi guys, welcome everyone to the Physics Wala MedEd. I'm Dr. Patil, your faculty for medicine, and today I have the pleasure of introducing and interviewing our INI-CET topper, Dr. Harsh. Welcome to the Physics Wala MedEd. Let me tell you guys, Dr. Harsh has cracked the INI-CET with a rank of 137, which is phenomenal. So Harsh, welcome again and hearty congratulations. So Harsh, we have a long lineup of students who are following us and they're looking for advices from the seniors. So now that you have already cracked the INICET with a great rank, they're keen to know from your journey how you prepared and how you landed up with this phenomenal rank. So it's over to you.
So, sir, I did my UG from AIMS New Delhi, and I was always targeted at the INI-CET examination because the way we are taught at AIMS and like the way it goes, we are always. I feel that the students at our college have a certain edge when it comes to preclinical subjects, which is what is the major chunk of the questions that INI-CET targets. I would not say that other people can't. A lot of people from other colleges are doing great and they're topping the exam as well, obviously. But I felt that, okay, if I have come to AIMS Delhi to do my UG, I would not want to compromise and do my PG from anywhere else. And the branch I really want to do, I want to do ophthalmology. So the RPC Center at AIMS is considered a topmost institute in Asia. So I really wanted to just be able to go there and be able to claim, okay, I have done my degree from there.
Okay, so before I ask you more about your preparation strategies, what made you lean towards ophthalmology?
So I think it was till like my final year. I feel like not just in my college, her college mein hi. Is it fine if I use a bit of hint?
Yeah.
Ophthalmology जो होता है, it's not targeted enough in a like a teaching sort of way. A lot of students just neglect it as a third year subject. We just have to clear the professional exam for it, and they don't look at it seriously. Okay, maybe it is a viable career option as well. But मेरे में when we had 15 days internship in ophthalmology, that's when I realized कि okay, the environment and the culture and आगे का life भी, when I talked to the people who are doing ophthalmology currently there, I asked ki, like, what made you want to be here and everything. So I realized that the work-life balance would suit me a lot. I wanted a surgical branch, but not something which had very hectic and long surgeries. So as we know, ophthalmological surgeries are not that intensive, and they have a very good like patient satisfaction rate as well.
Yeah.
So I leaned towards that, and I wanted a little bit of medicine to stay with me as well. So like I felt that ophthalmology is a decent balance there.
Yeah, true, true. Okay, so now students definitely want to learn from you. How did you prepare? So हम क्या करेंगे? Batch wise divide करेंगे. So first, tell me how did you deal with your first prof subjects to prepare for INICET?
So for first prof subjects, I felt like I had a good base because like first second year I had studied all the standard books, as they say, like whether it be Gray's, Boron. I had done the first second year subjects well from there, but there's a significant gap in like third fourth year. We don't touch those subjects at all, so we tend to forget. So in that aspect, physics wala helped me a lot. Like I watched the videos, those made me recollect my points, and I had made notes in my first year. So I just went to those. I did not use those as a revision source because obviously they were very in depth and not all of that knowledge was necessary for my exam. So I used your revision notes in the app like Physics Wallagi, and those helped me. And I did a lot of question practice for those as well. And INICET always has a thing that they ask more of conceptual base. So as long as you have done your basics right, you will be able to, even if you haven't studied the subject in a long time, you will be able to rule out options and get to the correct answer. So that helped me this year.
Okay, so that brings me to an important point. A lot of students have not done well when they were in first year, second year, and they start preparing for the entrance exam, not just the INICET, but even NEET PG, seriously during their internship or many of them post internship.
Hmm.
Okay. Now, when it comes to INICET, as I understand from talking to students like you, there is heavy weightage given to first and second prof subjects. So those who are not having strong foundation in those subjects because they kind of neglected first year, second prof, and they become serious towards their studies in the final prof or internship or post interns. For them, is there a way they can get back to the track and be able to crack the INICET?
Like I'll be honest, I would not say कि okay first second year में किसी ने ज़्यादा पढ़ा है तो वो matter नहीं करता. Obviously, if someone has studied, it will give them an. But I will also say at the same time कि if you give the right amount of time now, when you have started, you can obviously catch up to them. It's not कि मैंने first year में नहीं पढ़ा, I did not attend DH, I did not do that properly. So अब I'm always gonna be behind that person who was very like rigorous and who was focused at that time. Obviously they're ahead of you at this point, but if at this point you, let's say, I'll take an example of anatomy. Let's say I did not do anatomy in first year properly. It doesn't mean like always be weak at it. I have to just be clear in my mind ki, okay, I have this weak point, and then I don't have to look at shortcuts. A lot of people, what they do is, okay, mera anatomy weak hai, I'll just do these crash courses from 2-3 coachings. I think इसमें सारे questions cover हो जाएंगे. I'll do all the previous year questions, and then भगवान भरोसे, if the questions which I have done come, then it will be good. Otherwise, bad. I would rather say कि, okay, if you have not done, you have to take the time for it. Do the main videos from whatever coaching resource you are following. In my case, it was physics wala, but you can, like, whatever coaching resource you're doing, do the main videos for that. That will strengthen your basics, and at the same time practice questions. I myself was at one point very scared of practicing questions, because my question practice करने के लिए I would make custom modules. I would get 60%, 70%, and then I would be disheartened. So at one point I was fearing giving GTs कि no, I'll get a bad score, and then I would be disheartened, and then मेरे अगले 2-3 दिन my preparation would go totally off track. But what I realized, it if I had done more question practice, then maybe I would have done even better in an exam, because in the end question practice is what gives you confidence, and at the same time also helps you identify your lacunae. So yeah.
So एक चीज था, see, now that INI-CET is focusing on first and second prof a little more than the other subjects, and as I understand, the questions are conceptual and a deeper knowledge is required. तो ये superficial sources जो होते हैं कि rapid revision हो या कोई concise crash courses हो, if someone who has not studied well in the first or second prof and now he wants to take an aim at the INI-CET, for them, is it advisable to rely solely on first, second prof for the first, second prof solely on the concise sources? Will they be able to deal with those questions? क्या 50% questions या 60% वो deal कर पाएंगे through this approach?
So like at this time in the market, there are a lot of apps and a lot of coachings who are giving these courses. So it will be a very like subjective answer. Because for some it might work. We think कि मेरा basic weak है, but we might have studied a little bit, because obviously you have passed first prof, तो आपने कुछ तो पढ़ा होगा. So it might work for some, it might not work for the others. So in the end, it is for you to decide. I think if you do enough question practice, you will get an idea कि okay, these are the topics कि मेरे weak हैं. I would say कि अगर if you're thinking कि okay, he's saying कि anatomy पूरा का पूरा वापस देखो, but there are 100 videos. How will I watch 100 videos? So you can at least do the question practice कर लो. You realize, okay, I have lower limb and I have abdomen. These two topics, these two sections, I definitely know are weak for mine. So you can at least watch the videos for those, and for the rest, you can rely on the rapid revision videos and the question practice to fulfill the gap. But again, I would say कि for an exam, if you like at least give 6 months, you can cover anything with the main videos, not watching the main videos, but at least going through the main notes once.
Yeah. So basically, strategy individualized होना चाहिए. There can't be like anybody can crack the INI-CET with rapid revision, or nobody can crack the INI-CET with rapid revision. We cannot generalize that. And what was your approach to second and third prof?
So we don't have third prof names. So that year was totally free. What happened was second prof that I was doing well. Third year, fourth year, it happens to a lot of students. It just passed by, and I didn't really study a lot in that gap. So that came to bite me back later. So if anyone is in third and fourth year and is watching right now, I would recommend, okay, enjoy your college life. I did too, but at the same time keep a basic balance. कि like you should at least be finishing. Okay, I'm not saying कि revise कर लो आप 3-4 बार subjects जो होता है कि finish medicine, surgery and revise 2-3 times so that you have an edge over the others. Don't do that. If you wish to, like, just keep a basic balance. कि okay, you should not feel like you okay. Like when I went to internship, I felt amongst like okay, I was at AIMS Delhi, so like my peers were very knowledgeable. So I felt like okay, I have zero knowledge currently compared to these people, and if I'm going to be writing the same exam as them, there's no way in hell like I'm getting a good rank if I'm at this level. So that was a like big trigger for me. Okay, I really need to get back on track now, and that was when like I started studying properly. And yeah, so I would say third and fourth year ke liye, it would be good ki if you do them from the coachings first, and as well as attend your clinicals. Clinicals are very important, especially if you come to an exam like INI-CET. Attending your clinical postings is very important, because you never know. They have a lot of questions. Like last year, they gave us a question simply about what are the basic steps you follow in sampling. So there are a lot of clinical knowledge which you might feel करते टाइम that okay ये क्या ही काम का है, like how will this help me, but it might help you, and even if there isn't an exact question from that, it might help you in ruling out an option at some place. So you might as well, क्योंकि attendance के लिए आप जा ही रहे होते हो, तो might as well focus and give your full concentration there and like gain as much knowledge as you can.
Okay, so now coming to the major issue, final prof subjects. They're vast, humongous, and they need integration of all your fundamentals or basic sciences in relationship with the clinical practice. So a lot of students choose कि हाँ हम ये सिर्फ इतना ही कर सकते हैं, और it's like okay अब तो ये मेन वीडियो से नहीं होगा या बुक रीडिंग से नहीं होगा, I'll resort to rapid revision. Some of them are like एक सब्जेक्ट के सब्जेक्ट उड़ा देते हैं, will skip it and try to just get some score whatever possible with the help of other subjects. किया मेरा फर्स्ट ईयर सेकंड ईयर स्ट्रांग है, so I can skip medicine or surgery. So did you skip some subject from final prof?
I would not say exactly skip. I'll first say like how my preparation went. Like as I said, third, fourth year, I had become like I had lagged a lot. So like for example, I had not watched medicine or surgery at all till I reached my internship. My the video modules were totally blank. It was at zero. So I would say कि to some extent in an exam like INICET at least, where the major chunk is from the first and second year, आपका जो path होता है, pharma होता है, it helps you in covering the medicine and surgery aspect a little bit. But as happened in this exam, the questions were very in depth. So if you were just reliant on your basic knowledge to get you through, it wouldn't have happened. So obviously, the fourth year subjects are very important. But again, if you don't have the time, if you're starting now and let's say you're preparing for November INICET and you say, okay, I have just 6 months, I have to revise my first and second year subjects as well as cover my weak points, which are the final year subjects. I would say at least cover your first 2 years very properly. And even if you're not able to give the time for watching the videos of the main subjects like medicine, surgery, go through the notes fully. Because as long as you have done your basics properly, you would be able to understand the notes. And if you feel like, okay, this part of note, I don't understand what the teacher is trying to convey, watch the video for that part. You will definitely save a lot of time and at the same time cover a lot more knowledge. And again, question practice would be key there to identify your weak points. And I would always say we should never run away from our weak points. I always used to feel like okay, medicine mein neuro was my weak point because I used to get a lot of questions incorrect. I would study, I would feel okay, abhi ho gaya hai mere se, then I would solve questions, I would be able to get them right. 1 week later it was all gone. Then I watched your videos only, so it's very nice to be talking to you about it. So like I read your notes, I watched a few videos, and it just like I watched them a couple times, even though I did not have time to devote utna zyada, but I still thought ki, okay, if this is my weak point, maybe I'll get something wrong, so it's better ki I devote more time to this than my strong points. So I watched the videos a couple times at least. So that helped me, and there were a few questions where I feel like even in radio, your medicine aspect helped me to at least rule out some options and get the correct answer.
Okay, so what about surgery and OBG, because they are also humongous? So like what strategy you followed? Read through notes or watch the videos or read the standard textbooks? What do you follow?
I would start with Obs Gynae. Like Obs Gynae is one subject which I used to like a lot. Our postings at AIMS are very, in Obs Gynae at least, they are very knowledge intensive. The teachers are very interested in teaching us, and so it generates a basic curiosity in the person as well. So Obs Gynae I always felt was my strong point in my final year, and that was one subject I was never worried about. So I had given my final profs in December of 2023, but still till this point in January. In this gap, I did not study Obs Gynae at all, but I had a basic knowledge. So I did not have to watch the main videos or revision videos for those. I just went through the physics wala revision notes, and then I solved the previous year questions, identified, okay, these are the main topics that they are targeting. And then I did those topics from the main notes again. And towards the end, I just kept going through the same notes again and again, and that helped me. For surgery, I would say it is still an Achilles heel for me. I distinctly remember January when I started my preparation for this INICET was the time I studied surgery, and uske baad I did not touch it at all. It wasn't because I was confident, but it was because obviously you can say people will say, okay, this person has gotten a great rank, he must have revised 10 times, he must have revised 5 times. I can honestly say that I did not revise surgery even once, because not because I was confident in it, but because like every other person, I messed up my schedule a bit. I gave, as I said, I felt like I had some weak points, I gave time to those, so obviously I had to compromise at some places. So surgery radio were some points jahan pe, even if they were weak, could not afford to watch the videos for this exam. But I read through Sandeep sir's notes. I had heard from a few friends कि okay, Sandeep sir jo hota hai, when he teaches, the diagrams are really nice and he makes you understand the concepts. I thought, okay, like as I'll know, okay, I have like JIT and some points which are weak. I'll at least watch his videos for those. And for the rest, I'll go through the main notes. And surgery this time was very difficult in terms of the depth of the questions they asked. So his notes helped me a lot there. And overall, my first, second year knowledge and some knowledge from my clinical helped me to crack through those also. So I would not recommend leaving a subject like surgery that I did. But I would say कि okay, even if you are someone कि अभी NEET एक महीने में and you feel like okay, this subject I have not mastered, just know that even without that, as long as you feel like okay, I have tried enough, it will help you definitely. So like, don't lose heart over just like not being able to revise something 3 or 4 times. As long as you have done it well the first time, it will come back to you in the exam. You have to just trust that.
See, let me pose a hypothesis, which see if you agree with. So generally, when we start first with the first year, second year prof, and then we come to final prof, if this is how the preparation is planned, I feel most of the students find themselves at ease in the final prof subjects.
Yeah.
Because the basics are very clear. So what teacher is trying to convey, or what a book is trying to convey, or what notes are trying to convey, starts becoming easier. And most cases, you may not actually need to watch the videos. Just going through the notes,
Yeah.
you will be able to understand and assimilate if your basics are right. But many students, what they do is they start from top, like because medicine is vast, surgery is vast, obgyn is vast, so they want to finish them first. And then they think that, okay, we can easily go back to the biochem, physio, anat, path, pharmac. But then the concepts won't build in that approach. So you have to rely more on your memory.
Yeah.
Rather than the conceptual understanding of the human biology per se. So I see that you followed the same approach, that you started with the first, second prof, consolidated your understanding of it, and then spent your time on the final prof. And that's why you could glance through notes and still make most out of it. Otherwise, you literally need to someone to handhold and give you the conceptual understanding, but uske liye bahut time spend karna padta hai. So again, for students, Harsh's story tells us that starting and consolidating your fundamentals or basic sciences subjects first makes your clinical subjects much more easier. And the time spent on clinical subjects, every 1 hour spent, gives you more yield if you have already completed physio, anat, biochem, pharma paths. But instead, if you spend the same 1 hour on the same final year subjects before going back to your basics, then the yield will be much lesser. So Harsh, do you agree with this?
Yes, sir. Like, I would say ki, let's take an example of polyps from surgery. If I'm doing that from paths, it will like it will cover at least 50 to 60% of the content that is again going to be repeated in surgery. But what the difference is that when I'm doing it from surgery, they'll be like, let's say on a scale of 0 to 100, there'll be 100 things for me to remember. While when I'm doing it from paths at one time, I'll just have to remember 50. Then, ek mahine baad when I'm doing surgery, I just have to work on remembering the next 50.
Yeah.
So it helps you break it into chunks and remember it rather than just like burdening your brain with too much knowledge at the same time.
Yep.
And it goes for every single subject in a similar.
So that brings the last question to us. So what about the grand tests and subject-wide tests and custom tests? Do they help in preparing for INI-CET?
Again, I would say it is very preparation centric for the person. I personally did not give a lot of grand tests because I felt initially I was not joined to physics wala, so I was doing other platforms grand tests, and I felt okay, I have given one INI-CET and I know the basic kind of questions AIMS is used to asking, and this in no way mimics that. So I felt like okay, like not I was scoring decent, but I felt like okay, I don't know if ये 3 hours जो होता है is worth the time I'm devoting to this जो होता है. So I personally focused more on the custom modules in the initial phase of my preparation because, as I said before, I was scared कि okay, I might not score well in grand tests. So someone might say कि okay, he was just scared to give. I would admit okay, I was scared to give at one point. So custom modules mein I do have the option कि okay, I have prepared these subjects in the first 2 months कि January, February mein I have done these 3 subjects. I finished these. So I'll at least solve the questions for these. So custom modules mein I have the option of choosing कि okay, I'll just do the previous year at this time. So I felt like okay, this is much more कि okay, at whatever point of time मुझे जिस type के questions चाहिए, I can choose them and solve those. But GTs in the end do give you a competitive knowledge ki, okay, how I am doing in comparison to my peers, which the custom tests do not. So there were a few seniors who had given physics wala test last year who recommended ki, okay, like if you're not finding the other platforms, ek baar try karke dekh jo hota hai. That's when I joined and I gave the physics wala test. Even though I gave just 3 of them, I found ki, okay, they are much more similar to the NEET pattern or the INICET pattern in respective question papers, whichever they made. Ki, okay, they are targeting, and I feel ki, okay, this would much rather help me as compared to what I had been doing previously. But again, in terms of GTs, custom models, so whatever source you use for question practice, I would say it is totally dependent on the persons. But I would just say learn from my mistakes. Do not run away like I did from the GTs, because in the end I figured ki, when I had the knowledge ki, okay, these are the areas and the lacunas ki, okay, my peers are doing much better in FMT than I am, so I need to give more time into FMT. These are some things which only the grant test can provide you with. Okay, in the end it isn't going to be a competition for just you, it is going to be with the whole nation. So you need to have an idea ki where you are standing in comparison to your peers, and that is where the grant tests come to help.
Okay, so ideally, when a student should start giving grant test, from the beginning of their preparation journey, or after they are done with some years or some subjects, or when they are starting the revision, like they've done one round of reading and then they're starting the revision.
I'll admit a funny thing. Last year, I mentioned this was my second INICET, because as a student at AIM, we finished our internship early to get to give the November INICET attempt also, which I did not prepare for at all. And as I said, my final year subjects were totally wash. So I got like 140 correct, and I had a rank of very bad, 4,500, 4,600 at that time. So I had given just one grant test in which I had 99 questions correct. So from there till here, I got my result yesterday only, and I had like 150 correct there. So it's not ki we cannot improve, obviously we can. So there's no set time for starting grant test, because as from my example I can say ki I gave my grant test just before the exam in the last one, and this time I gave just 6 or 7 of them. But I would say it will depend on the person. If you are someone like me who gets disheartened with a low score and you feel ki you would just stop preparing, better finish some subjects first and then gain confidence and then give the grant test, so that a score of 110 or something, like if that scares you, okay, I'll get 110 ka score, then I'll be disheartened and then I won't study for the next 2 days. It's better you solve the custom modules for the subjects you're confident in first. And if you feel ki you are someone who can build from the ground up, a lot of people are built different. They will be like, okay, koi baat nahi, I'll get 100 in this one, I'll get 120 in the next one, and I'll just go on increasing. That did not work for me, but a lot of my friends did that. So it helps in a different way, and I'll obviously suggest that if you're able to do that, I would say that's the better method. But I would ideally say finish 1-2 subjects, then start giving grant tests, so that when you go to the next subject, okay, maine kuch grant tests de diye, now I have to study surgery. I already have an idea, okay, these are the subjects which the grant tests are targeting. So that means these are the topics which are more important. So surgery padhte hue, I'll obviously focus more on those topics. Okay, I had a question in the grant test from this, so I need to like pay more attention to this subject which the teacher is teaching right now. So obviously that has its perks there.
Okay, so Harsh, let me summarize the key takeaways for our student viewers from our discussion. So first takeaway is that if you're preparing for INI-CET, I think your first year and second year subjects have to be strong. So emphasis should be given to them. Second takeaway is that the preparation strategy has to be individualized. Depending on your weak areas, you can choose to study some subjects from the main video, some subjects from the rapid revision, some subjects from the notes. It's totally to be individualized. Koi one shot formula nahi hai to crack any exam per se. And then third, testing yourself, where do you stand in comparison to your peers, is important. So for that, you need to give the grand test. Kab start karna hai? It's again an individualized decision depending on your mentality and where you stand with your preparation. Up start karna padega, but strongly suggestion is that you should give at least few grand tests before you appear for the main exam. I think this is the same recipe that we keep hearing from every student who has cracked. Consolidate your basics well, then weak areas, do not totally neglect them. Try to make the most of it with the available time, and then test yourself by solving MCQs and the exams. Is there anything you want to add before we sign up for the day?
I would just tell the students ki, okay, like me, or even better than me, there are a lot of people who are going to be giving similar interviews right now. So please take those in a positive sense. A lot of students get disheartened when, like, let's say someone hasn't done well in this exam. They would get disheartened. Ki, okay, these are my peers and they are appearing for interviews while I could not do the same. And I wished, ki, okay, during my preparation, I was imagining I would be in that position. It's okay. Take it one step at a time. It's just 6 months for the next exam. It's 1 month for NEET. Focus on those. One bad exam and one bad day doesn't mean that it's all going to be bad. As long as you have prepared well, it will pay off in the long run in some way or the other. So God must have something planned for you. So just like stick to it and keep working. Take a day break if you feel like that, and follow your own method. Don't stick to anything a topper or anyone suggests, because you yourself know what's best for you. And don't fall into the FOMO. Ki a lot of students discuss with this friends. It's good. I always say ki you should always discuss with your peers, because it helps to remember better when you discuss questions. But one thing is ki if I'm studying one subject and I discuss one topic from, like, my friend asks me surgery say question and I am not able to solve, suddenly it strikes me, okay, this person is studying surgery, I am not, and medicine nahi ho raha hai. So I just drop whatever I'm doing and I shift to another subject. Don't do that. Make a concise plan for yourself and have confidence in that key. As long as I stick to it, and towards the end I will be able to do everything that I want. So I should not deviate based on any external factors.
Okay, so students, I think Harsh's journey has inspired you and also given you insights how you can plan your journey ahead for the upcoming NEET PG as well as INI-CET. So with that, and as well as from the Physics Wala MedEd family, Harsh, all the best for your upcoming residency and hope to see you as a great and successful ophthalmologist soon. और मेरा भी LASIK कराना है. जब तक मुझे टाइम मिल जाएगा तब तक आपकी रेसिडेंसी खत्म हो जाएगी. So I'll see you in the clinic soon. Okay, all the best for your future. Okay, and hearty congratulations once again. Okay, see you. Bye-bye.